Welcome to another episode of OG55. We got Mr. Webba in the house. We got theme park conductor and candid camper. We're talking about how can we make the Disneyland Resort more of a tourist destination. It's looking like it's a lot of locals. How can we, not get rid of the locals, but make that tourism piece of the pie a little bit bigger? We're also going to talk about these price increases with the hours also shortened, which is very, very interesting. We're going to talk all about all that up next on OG 80 Ball. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55. We're talking price hikes. We're talking shortened hours. We're also talking about how we can make Disneyland Resort more of a resort. But before we do, I want to introduce this sexy guy right over here, Mr. Webba himself. He's back in the saddle, ready to ride. Mr. Webba, how are you doing, brother?
OG, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on. I can't wait to talk shop with all you fine gentlemen. You can find me on all social media platforms: Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Twitter. At Mr. Webba 91. You can also find me right here on Orange Grove 55.
There he is. There he is. You sure it's not Orange Grove 22 or Orange Grove 35? It's what is it, 55, right?
no, actually, better for you, Orange Grove 33.
There we go. There we go. And Mr. Theme Park Conductor. It's always good to have you, brother. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. It's always a great time hanging out with you, lovely gentlemen, especially the one and only Candid Camper, which I never get to see. So it's always great to talk shop with you fellows. But like Orange Grove 55 said, not Orange Grove 21, 33, 56, 89, whatever you want to call it. Orange Grove 55 said, I am theme park conductor. You can find me on YouTube and Blue Sky at theme park conductor. You can find me on Instagram at theme_park_conductor. You can find me on TikTok at theme park conductor 1. You can also find me on X at theme conductor. And you can find me every Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for our weekly live stream for Conductor Sunday live stream, where we're going to have Orange Go 55 and Tommy Toon World this Sunday talking about Universal, Disney, HHN, the Halloween season, and the up and coming Christmas season, where I have to make sure Orange Go 55 behaves himself and doesn't drink too many peppermint schnapps. I know I'm going to eyeball you on that one.
You should. You should. That is an issue. Absolutely. You should absolutely eyeball me.
It's a fun issue, though. It's a fun issue. But we talk shop there, and it's a bunch of fun, and we kind of just let the chat take control. So it's a good time.
There he is. There he is. Candid Camper. Last but certainly not least, 2 videos in a row. My guy, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on again. It's awesome to have the Webinator. That's what I call him on the side. He doesn't know about it yet, but he does now know. And we got Conductor once again. Happy to have you and happy to be here. Even though this is your show, OG. Still happy to have him. Cool. Thanks for having me on again. But yeah, Candid Camper Theme Park Thoughts over on YouTube, Candid Camper Theme Park Thoughts over on TikTok, or Candid Camper on both of those, also TikTok and YouTube.
Perfect. All right, gentlemen. Let's dive into the first subject at hand. Disneyland Resort announced ticket price hikes. They went up. They went up. The Magic Keys in particular, the Inspire, which is the highest tier of all the Magic Keys, the special access tier, you know what I'm saying? Is up to what it was almost $1,900 a year, right? I mean, it's getting up there, the next round of price hikes, it'll probably hit 2,000. Conductor, I know you had a great live show the other night. You had some thoughts on this. I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on the price hikes? And also, they've cut the hours too, which is kind of like, okay, I mean, this is kind of like a double whammy, right?
It is a double whammy, and one of the things that I could clearly say is the other 2 Magic Keys, the Enchant Key and what's the other one? What's the other one?
Imagine.
Imagine those did not go up in price, but the other two, the Believe and the Inspire, like OG said, went up. And one of the things I talked to George about on Hollow Gelato was the fact that they're doing all these price increases. And I don't mind the price increases, but the way they did it this go around, where it seemed like it was kind of high on uh a lot of the stuff they increased, because they increased all the prices all across the board, with magic keys to ticket prices to parking to lightning lane to merch to food, the whole 9 yards. And one of the things I raised a concern with, they're building two new attractions in DCA with Avengers Campus. So Stark Flight Labs and Infinity Defense. And I told George, I said, well, why would they be increasing prices on some of these items higher than usual without having new experiences open to the everyday guests? I get the price increases, but some of the things they increased the prices on were a little higher than usual. And I told him, I said, well, why not wait until those two attractions are open? Why not wait until that happens to increase prices like this? Because OG, you made a great point. I have the Inspire key, and by this time next year, I'm going to probably be paying about $2,000 every single year.
Well, you're going to be paying $2,000, and this year, like let's say you renew tomorrow, hypothetical, right? Anyone who renews tomorrow, they're going to pay it's like 18 something or $1,900 for the year. Well, most of DCA is going to be a construction site this upcoming year.
Yes.
You know what it is though? You know why? Because they don't want you to come back. Because they want fresh faces to come ride these rides, and they want people to buy all that merch. And you go all the time. They don't want you. They don't want you anymore. They called me up, the conductor. We don't want them.
We don't want them. No, these guys are bugaboos. They're here too much,
Over here taking pictures of videos,
like,
riding rides, smiling. How dare you?
You know what I'm saying? But conductor, sorry, I interrupted you, but if you want to go ahead and finish your point, brother.
No. But like you said, DCA is going to have a lot of construction walls, and the eastern security area where they're going to be building the sky bridge across harbor to connect the Eastern Gateway parking garage. That whole area of the Esplanade and that security area is going to be a construction zone. So do I agree on some of the price hikes the way they did it? No, but again, it's already set in stone. So it makes me wonder, by the time we reach, construction for Avatar, because again, Disney still has not confirmed it is a land, even though we've seen the scale model of it. They still call it an experience. My guess is once we start seeing construction for that experience, as they call it, I could see the Inspire key being about 2,300, maybe 2,400 by the time they start that.
I agree. I think that by the time Pandora opens in 2030-ish, we're looking at like a $2,500 Inspire key. You know what I'm saying? And I know a lot of things I would rather do with $2,500. I can tell you that much. But Candid,
I know what you did with $2,500.
Mr. Camper, I love having Camper, because I love how these conversations, they go off on these crazy tangents. But Mr. Camper, what are your thoughts on this, man? Price increases, they're cutting the hours too. Is it egregious or is it justified? You know what I'm saying? I mean, maybe it's justified.
Yeah.
What do you think?
So, having children and being tight with money, it's sometimes really hard to justify paying more for less in any aspect, even food, and like you don't want to ever pay less or more for less. So when I do make a trip out of it and I bring everybody, I'm making sure that I look at what time the park closes. That's the first thing I look. I'm not going to go on the Thursday when they close at 6. Like, that's not what we're doing. We're going till 12 o'clock. And the boys know me. Like, I'm there till close, and we're walking 20 miles.
Dude, this guy does it, man. This guy is a soldier, man. I did about 5 rides with this guy, and I had to tap out. I was like, all right, I'm good. I got to vibe out, and I'm gonna go have a beer.
Yeah, I definitely take advantage of going. But in general, I always been that way since I was a kid, man. Just I'm here and I'm gone. Ask George. George turned around and I was missing. Um, but good times. The thing is with going so little, like it's just gonna keep me from going. And I'm not even a local. I don't have a pass. Like I can't do it. I had a pass actually 1 year when they were $600 a piece. So that was I can't remember what
Wow.
year that was. And we went, man, almost every weekend, every other weekend. It was great. The drive was okay to go up there. We stayed at my wife's aunt's house, so we didn't have to really pay for anything. So it was worth going. But now, not even just the ticket prices, not even just in the park, everything around it is going up. The hotels are like $400 a night. The food around there, the food was already hiked up what, about 12% in the park. So now you're making it more. Like, what are you doing? I think I got a turkey leg, it was like $17 for a damn turkey leg. I only got one leg of that turkey. Give me
Yeah.
two
Well,
legs.
give me two and two legs. Well, and that's the thing. I think when it comes to like the food, like I think once you get in the park, it's pretty comparable to the other theme parks. Like I'm at Universal Hollywood a lot, and it's $13 for a beer. It's the $20 cupcake. It's like what I'm saying. It's very expensive. Now where Universal is more affordable though is getting in. Like their annual passes are not knowing $1,900. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're very much affordable, and they still offer monthly payments. So yeah, but once you
And
get in, it's pretty pricey. Parking and all that stuff. You go ahead.
my thing is too is like in a business mindset, um, I want you to pay less to get in so you spend more in the park, because the difference in buying food is that you're going to end up bringing more people in. So you'll end up spending more on food. You bring that family of 5 instead of myself going by myself. Like if when I went down there, if it was affordable, I would have brought my whole family and still hung out with you guys. Screw my family. But but they would have gotten to go. And then guess what? One kid wants a shirt, then the other 2 kids want a shirt. So it ends up like becoming this thing. But now we all go and we're on a budget. Sorry, kids, you're not getting a shirt. I'm gonna go to Target and get one. Um, the biggest thing for me, like I said, is just lowering that price to get people in. Margin is a big thing with any company, so I understand why a ticket is 100 something dollars. That's free money. Like that's literally money that goes into your pocket, where you have to prep the food, you have to prep the cast members to be able to cook the food. But upcharging 12% already, you make your money back for the whole batch of what you're putting out there already. So what's the point?
Let me ask. I'll start with you, conductor, and then I'm going to go to you, Webba. But conductor, I want to ask you one. I want to ask you a question though. In terms of the pricing, let's say hypothetical. Let's say we get let's say we get a new CEO. We are, and they come in and they're like, you know what, these prices are too high, and they really lower these prices. I kind of feel, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like that would kind of create another problem though, right? Like, because now it's cheaper, so more people are trying to get in. So now you have like, it's too crowded. You're ruining the guest experience that way now, kind of. You kind of see that happening too. If it's too cheap, you kind of, you have the crowding. If it's too expensive though, you're keeping people out. It's a tough little balancing act, no?
It's interesting because it is a balancing act. It's almost like a game at this point because, whoever the next CEO might be, they could either go that route or they can do what we all wish to a point and get rid of the reservation system, which you also still face the same problem. Because if you get rid of the reservation system, then it's almost like a free for all between magic key holders, and then you got the locals, and then that family of 4 from Minnesota that wants to come out because maybe the prices are decreased a little bit, but the reservation system's gone, and maybe they were planning on staying 2 days at the resort and they can't get everything done because the locals and the magic key holders are just taking up everything. I can kind of see why they don't release the reservation system. But then on the other hand, though, once they build a lot of these attractions for Disneyland Forward, and I'm talking about the 2 Avengers attractions, the Coco Dark ride, whatever they're going to do in the Simba parking lot, then you got the Lilo and Stitch parking lot, then you got possibly Toy Story in the next maybe 5-10 years becoming the 3rd gate, if that's a thing. Then I could see them easing off the reservation system. But even before COVID happened, they were already itching to, have this system put in place. So it's not something that COVID happened and they just decided to do it. They were thinking about this way before 2020.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It was the pandy that just had them gave them the flexibility or that enabled them to actually do this. But they probably want to do this long before. Absolutely, I completely agree with you, Conductor. Mr. Webba, what are your thoughts? Price hikes overall, in general, industry, all that good stuff.
Oh man, yeah. So price hikes are always going to happen, unfortunately. And I will say, in this particular matter, I am too poor to afford that. And actually, I was before, so I can't afford it. So I sympathize with everybody. But I mean, if you just look in 2024, Legoland went with the industry standard of dynamic pricing, which is day by day. If certain days are busier or less busy, the price it fluctuates, right? So a lot of these theme parks are doing that, and Disney is one of them. It's unfortunate because it is really really expensive, right? Like I said, if like I couldn't afford that at all. But other theme parks, like when you look at their websites, like SeaWorld, Knott's, even Universal, they're cheaper, yes, to get in, right? But they also kind of hide behind the online. It's always, if you buy online, you save X amount of dollars, right? Disney doesn't have that. Whether you buy in person or online, it's going to be the same price. A lot of other
Right.
theme parks, if you renew, you get a discount, and so there's always these other little perks and benefits for these other theme parks to have these annual passes to compete with the mouse. And the brand is strong. The brand is
It
strong.
is.
And actually, I want to touch upon another point here too that I think people don't really have a conversation about. It has to do with the pricing and crowds, right? So I think that, how should I put this? There's a discussion about uh, concerts and sport games, right? People always say, well, people go and pay thousands of dollars for sport games and concerts, right? Why is it different than paying thousands of dollars for a theme park? And I was actually talking to Slimer about this, and I've kind of come to the conclusion, in a sense, maybe this isn't the entire answer, but maybe it might be part of it. So please bear with me. Is in a more psychological effect, right? When you look at the guests and the experience, what are they getting? What are they perceiving the value to be for their dollar, right? When you go to a sport or to a concert, you're paying to see this skilled player or this very popular, skilled, talented artist, right, on stage. The food and the merchandise, that's kind of all like in between or after the main event, right? But the main event is, hey, I want to see OG55 playing it like this band. I want to see Candid Camper hit a home run, right? That's what I'm paying money to be there for. So that's the main course, that's the main attraction. However, when you hear about, oh, I'm waiting in line, I'm spending money to wait in line, right? Waiting in line for parking, waiting in line for the tram, waiting in line for security, merchandise, characters, shows, parades, rides, right? But in my opinion, a lot of guests who go to the parks view the attractions, character meet and greets, and shows to be the main course meal. So when you have to wait in line constantly for all this stuff, and then wait in line more for food and merchandise and parking, now you're looking at it like, am I getting the value for what I'm paying for this? Whereas if you go to,
Oh,
sorry,
no,
Ken,
go on, sorry. No, that's on me. Go ahead.
whereas if you go to a sporting event, right? Like let's see if you're gonna watch, the Dodgers or the Angels or the Ducks, right? Okay, there's a break period. I can go up, get a hot dog, get a beer, go back, and when the game starts, I'm sitting watching what I paid for. That's why I'm there.
Yeah, there's no
And
line. We're not waiting.
there's no line. I'm sitting there watching the game. And I think when you try to compare that to the theme parks are a different beast. I see why that comparison is made. It's like, well, people don't complain about that. But I think in a psychological level, that's probably why. The other thing is with at least sporting tickets. Granted, there are some rules and stipulations, but people can sell their season tickets and get some money back if they're not going. You can't do that with the annual pass. You can't do that with your tickets. So I just want to kind of bring that point up on the value per dollar for the regular guest experience.
No, you're 100% right. And there's also this thing with, I think in general too, you hit the nail on the head with a lot of that stuff, Ebba. And also I think with in general too, Disney's under more of a microscope than really any other company.
Mhm.
Universal can raise prices. and get pretty dang close to Disney. And by and large, X and the social media isn't really going to say much. Disney does it, and it's like national news. You know what I'm saying? It's just Disney's under that microscope. I mean, even like the Jimmy Kimmel stuff. You know, when CBS, when Paramount fired Stephen Colbert, it was news for sure, but it wasn't the same amount of attention and focus like the Jimmy Kimmel stuff was, right?
Yeah.
Disney's a different beast, and they really are. Go ahead, Candid. I'm sorry I cut you off, brother.
No, you're good. You're good. And I love that analogy, both analogies you made too, because that's exactly true. But there's also that weird value that you still have to find within that game or that concert, because remember, you're choosing what seats you sit in on both of those. So do you wait around and you get the cheap $25 ticket, even though this is your favorite sport, your favorite band, just like it's my favorite park? Or do you spend the extra money to get closer? And then when you do get closer, is it really worth that experience now, even though you're closer? So those are still the same things where you end up buying a magic pass or not magic pass, like a fast pass, whatever they call it. Like those are those experiences that you have to pay for to get in. The other side of it too, and I'll play the bad guy here, which I'll be Disney in the sense. Disney allows you to bring your own food in. So if they really wanted to clutch and take what they can from you, they wouldn't allow that. And I think by them having that open door policy with their food has really allowed them to kind of make these price hikes, because you see people walking around with that churro. Even though you brought your whole bag of snacks, you still are going to buy a churro because you see people walking around with the churro. And the thing is that they do a good job of putting a sign out there with the price, but it's really tempting to still stand in that line 15 deep. And when you do, by the time you think about like, shit, I shouldn't spend $15 on this churro, you already stood in line for 15 minutes. You're going to buy the churro still. So Disney does a great job at having you like just mind fucked. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's the thing. These theme parks are very much. That's an interesting point you bring up, Candid. These theme parks are set up like that, where it's a lot of like psychological games, and they all do it. And even movie theaters really kind of do it too, where it's like the smells, right? You walk past, they make sure that when you first walk in, you smell that popcorn. They make sure that popcorn thing is right when you walk in. When you walk down Main Street, the smells, you can smell the candy, you can smell all the baked goods. You can, that's all done. Yeah, I mean, part of it is atmosphere for sure, but a lot of it is done to get you to go in those stores and buy, and it's all that psychological. Go ahead, Webba.
Well, right, and here's the thing too, and I'm gonna keep bringing it up. SeaWorld San Diego. No one talks about their 5% surcharge that they add to your food,
100%.
Which isn't good, by the way. It's expensive. You wait for 20 minutes for your quick service food, and when you get it, there's a 5% surcharge on it. Wow. Why is no one talking about that? That's not fair.
SeaWorld has you're right, Webba. SeaWorld has one of the worst situations when it comes to food of all the parks. They are like crazy expensive with all that stuff, Oh, so
yes.
Go ahead, Candid.
Yeah, and going to Legoland, we didn't get to eat any Legoland food, but because we brought our own food there, because 80 kids, you gotta pack light. But the thing is there that the food, like I looked at, wanting to get stuff, the food was well priced there, and it actually looked like it had quality, and everybody that was eating was enjoying it, except for that one kid that threw it up. But it was just
that one kid. It's always that one kid, right?
Yeah, it was nasty. But it just Legoland didn't cram things down your throat, and I think that's something I really enjoyed about that park. Like, it was very organic, and if you wanted to fall into what they wanted you to go into, you wanted to go do it. And they did a good job at it by doing theming in their lands. Like, you went in there, and I was like, cool, I'm going to be a knight right now, and I want to go into the store, and I want to go eat at the castle. Like, those are different things that Disney doesn't do, where Disney kind of forces you to go through the gift shop at the end. And they bank on it. And how many times have I walked through a gift shop at the end of the ride, and my kid's like, "Oh, Dad, I want this. Oh, I need this." Like, no, dude, we're not doing that.
It's interesting that you bring that up, Candid, because I'm not a parent. I don't have kids or whatever. But I never thought about that though. Like the level of stress that must be when your kids say, "I want to ride Star Tours," and in the back of your mind, you're going, "Dang it! Now we're gonna go through the gift shop, and now they're gonna ask me to buy an RTD2 or something." Like I never thought about that, but that's a great point because you're forced to exit through it.
Yeah. Yeah. And, luckily my kids are pretty good about like, hey, dude, we can't right now. Okay, no problem. Like, it's not like it's not that I don't want to do for them, but it's like, dude, we still have a whole week here or a whole trip here. And this is what, like, we're not going to walk around also at 10 o'clock in the morning with the R2D2 for 18 hours. Like, we're not doing that.
Yeah, because you know who's going to end up carrying that.
Oh,
right,
yeah.
Dad?
Oh, yeah. Of course. Of course.
Well, and here's the two. I also want to propose another question to you guys, right? Is for the price of $1,900, right? Let's say, because I always like to judge things based off the highest, most expensive thing. For the highest expense, whether that's at Disney, Universal, Knott's, right? Whatever. Where was I going with this question? Oh, yes. What do you value? Well, what's your value on? Because these parks offer a variety of experiences in the immersive theme park world, right? Shows, attractions, like rides, character meet and greets, dining. Because when people go to these parks, they do them differently, right? There's different ways to experience them. So on that level too, how are you judging the value based off of that, right? Like,
that's a great point, Webba. Like for me personally, I will always love Disneyland and even DCA. I love going to these parks, right? But my willingness to spend kind of ebbs and flows, right? Because right now there really hasn't been anything new, and we're not going to really get anything new for at least a couple of years. We're waiting for those Avengers rides. So for me to pay $1,900 to pay $1,900 for a year at Disneyland Resort, right? And half of DCA is going to be a construction site. I mean, they said early 2026, Monsters Inc. and that whole area is going to be shut down. You're going to have, I'm assuming, construction walls over at the pier for the Coco boat ride. We already have construction happening for Avengers Campus. I don't know. For me, with no new stuff, and now it's more expensive. For me personally, I wouldn't do it. That's just for me personally. Everyone's value system is different. Like George will do it no matter what. You know what I'm saying? He's that guy, and that's cool. That works for him. For me, I would take a year off and I would wait until something new opens, and then maybe I would rethink that and go, oh, you know what? Maybe I will spend the $1,900 because this, that, and the other opened, But Tiana's has been open for a year already. I mean, nothing is new. I mean, I guess the Walt animatronic or whatever, but it's not.
The thing
is that worth
$1,900
now?
You guys have a leg up on it. Where in my lifetime, I will never spend that or even think about spending it because I'm 8 hours away. So what would really justify me doing that? And going with you guys last time, even though we dorked around and watched George get drunk off of like 40 Mai Tais for like 4 hours, I still got on every single ride at Disneyland.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So why do I need a $1,900 thing?
Well,
and I'm a content creator for Disney, but I'm not in the parks like some of you guys, and I'm not local. It doesn't work out for me. $600 to go every other weekend. I'm in at that price. That's okay.
And see how everyone has a different value statement. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And there's some people I have buddies who I talk to who will never spend $1,900 to go to Disney, but they would spend close to that on a sports thing, or some other, or going to Vegas or something. Right? Everyone has a different kind of like barometer as to what's worth it, and it's all kind of subjective. You know what I'm saying? What were you gonna say, Webb? I'm sorry.
No, and to that point, right, of the value. I think with I would just kind of say this. I believe with sports and like concerts or Vegas, those have had a lot more time. Even though Disney has been around for 100 years, these other places have been around for so long and are really embedded in the American culture that I believe it's widely acceptable to be hoorah about paying these prices for this. And then with the theme parks, it's like, why are you paying that amount of price for? Like, what are you, child?
And yeah, exactly, Webba. And that's the thing. We've done videos on Disney adults before, and there is this thing where it's like, if you're a dude, right, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to spend, $1,000 on some Dodger tickets. It's like, all right, people that's cool, whatever. Mm-hmm. You're a dude, Dodger tickets makes sense, sounds good. But if you're a dude and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna spend $1,000 to go to Disneyland, it's like, whoa, dude, like it's a little bit like, okay, man,
What about the Family Guy though? now you're spending $1,000 to bring one person or multiple people each time. That's my family. That'd be $5,000 if I took all of them to the
Oh
Dodgers
yeah.
game.
Well, and that's
So
why.
where's that value?
Right. That's true. That's very, very true. And
Right.
that's why I
Well,
think go ahead, Webba.
sorry, I was going to say, well, Ken, it's your point though, but that's where like these companies and studios and theme parks, they're sports families that grow up in every generation. They bring up their kids, like with Disney or Universal or
Course.
whatever,
Of
with
course.
their kids watching, the Broncos or the Dodgers or whatever, and then these kids become huge psychotic fans. Face painting their sports team's favorite colors and stuff like that, right? Going to the games.
But
So it's kind of a little bit the same thing there.
but do you need to spend $1,000 on a ticket?
No,
And
I
that's
wouldn't.
but that's what I'm saying. So and this is where that tier system comes in again.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to do the same thing, but there's still tier systems to doing that thing. Where my
Yeah.
tier system for me and my family is a 1-day ticket, where your guys's might be the $1,900 to get in, but we're still having the same experience, right? Well, to a point.
Well,
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Well, Disneyland you are, because I could do the same exact thing with your $1,900 one is. Sports game, no, 'cause
right.
different seats.
Well, yes, but
That's
here's the
true.
thing though, is that if OG goes to Disneyland and you go to Disneyland, and let's say you two don't hang out, you guys are going to do two totally different things, have two different experiences. Yes, you're sharing a collective, objective reality experience in the park, but your experiences are going to be vastly different. He's a vibes guy,
But
you're the rides guy.
how and this is perfect. So
Mhm.
sports game and the contra set aside because
Mhm.
the part there is that you can have different seats no matter what. So you're always going to either
Yeah.
have a better seat or a worse seat. You could pay for
Right.
that. Going to the parks, the experience does not change. The only thing you get is maybe something a little bit cheaper or maybe a little bit closer to walk from the parking lot. Everything else inside that building or inside that park is exactly the same no matter what ticket or what part pass you have. So where is that value at, Webba? In your mind, right?
Wait, in terms of like price or in terms of what you want to
In
experience?
in terms of anything. Well, obviously not price because you're paying more, but as
Well,
experience.
yeah, I
Could you
think with
get in on a certain day?
yeah, I think the 19 yeah, that's what it is. The $1,900 give you, I think the value that people
But
see
now
in
you do,
that.
Chris. Now you do go the same day as me. Where's your
Right.
value that you thought you had?
Right. If I go the
It's
same day as
here.
you, yeah, I don't have that same value. I have it across the board because I have more access on the calendar, right?
Yeah.
But day to day, we're
But
all
so
the
do
same.
I.
Yeah.
So do I. I have $130 worth of value whenever I want to go. And I can go 15 times or however much it equals out. I'm not going to math to $2,000. And I can
Sure.
go every single time that you go with you and we have the same experience. And then I walk back to my car and you walk back to your car and you're like, fuck, I spent $1,900 on this. And
Yeah.
we just did the same thing.
We
So
we
I
kind of
see it.
we kind of did the same thing. I would probably be over somewhere where Tone's drinking a Baja Breezer,
Yeah.
and you'd be riding rides with you know.
But,
Yeah.
let's see, like what was said though, to kind of agree with Webba on this. Again, if OG's in the park and Candid Campers at the park at the same time, there is a little bit of a different experience in a way, but one's paying more, one's paying less.
But the
then
pass isn't creating that experience though. You're
no,
creating
no,
that experience.
no, but you're right though. But when you're at the park for, let's say, either just a day or a multi-day, compared to OG that has the magic key for $1,900 that can go almost every single week, and you're kind of tied down to maybe a day or 3 days, and
Mhm.
you're a man on a mission to sit there and go ride all the attractions, see the experiences and whatnot. And OG's all like, you know what? I'll do some of this stuff, but I'm going to come back next week and do the other half, and then the next week after that to do the other half. So
That's fair.
he's not in that rush to sit there and do everything, because he could just come back the next week and do more. It's
And
not like
so
he's a man
that
on a
value
mission
for
to do
him
that.
is now being able to actually have a calm, relaxing
Yeah.
experience.
Kind of.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's a good point,
Makes
conductor.
sense.
That's a
I
good
love
point
it. That was
because
good.
that was good. Yeah, that's a great point because you take you kind of depressurize the situation a little bit because you're
Yeah.
right. There's less pressure now. Okay, like I can come here tomorrow if I wanted to, or
Yeah.
next week. I don't need to ride a bunch of stuff. Where if you're like Candid, I mean, he's coming with his family. They drive, like you said, Candid, 8 hours. It's a long trip. You got kids with you. You got your wife. You want to make the most out of that trip. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, if I just go over there and just meet George for like, 3 hours, it's a different situation completely,
Yeah, that was a very valid point.
Yeah.
And on top of both of those points, like once again, you make the value what you want it to be for sure, and that's just in life in general. But at the same time, like, do you okay with the $1,900 pass? Do you even get like in the Oogie Boogie?
No.
No, and
Like,
see,
what is that?
this is part of the thing that I actually mentioned on George's channel, and he's actually the one who brought it up, was that one thing like with Universal, me and OG can relate to this. So with the Platinum Pass, which is I think like $600 or $700 for the year, but
Yeah.
with the Platinum Pass, you get a courtesy free ticket for HHN. And one of the things that were said for, the Magic Keys, especially for the top tier, the Inspire, it's like, well, if you're going to keep increasing prices and whatnot, first of all, why can't you guys offer a one time, once a year free admission to Oogie Boogie for one night? Then the second thing was, why could you not do maybe like a Magic Key night where all the Magic Keys come in and
Mhm.
it's just only for Magic Key holders and they get to enjoy the Disneyland and DCA until I don't know 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, kind of like what Universal does with their annual Passover or pass holder takeover nights, and start going that route. Because I kind of feel Disney can learn a lot from Universal in that aspect. Because when you look at, people that have both like myself and others, and they say, okay, I'm paying $1,900 for the Inspire key, and then I'm paying $600 or $700 a year for the Platinum Pass at Universal. And I kind of feel that Universal kind of offers a little bit more for less money. Then people start, really thinking of their options, like OG's saying, do I really want to renew my Magic Key, or do I want to renew my Universal Pass and say, wow, when I really break it down, I kind of feel like I'm getting more for my buck at Universal because I kind of feel like they care a little bit more. And I'm not saying Disney doesn't care more. I'm just saying when you look at the comparison, I kind of feel that Universal is just a little bit higher on that tier than Disney when it comes to their annual pass holders.
Yeah, the Universal is in market share mode, market share mindset, where they want more pass holders probably because
Yeah.
their pass holders they don't have nearly as many as Disney, so they're hungry. They're really hungry. They want to get everybody they can to sign up for those APs. You know what I'm saying? So they're doing like the AP nights, which they just had recently, I believe. They're doing the stuff like the AP lounge and all that. I think you and Wizard went to that a little while ago. And it's cheaper. I mean, the highest pass, like you were saying, conductor is like $600. Now, I mean, that's cheap. I mean, that's like, dude, I mean, the Inspire key is more than double that.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you do the monthly payments, it's like a hard payment a month basically for that
Yeah.
Inspire key.
Yeah. And when Canada was talking about, earlier about, paying for that $1,900 pass, is it worth it compared to someone like him that might go for the day or go for 3 days and pays a lot less, and you kind of have that same experience? That's where Disney can step in and say, hey, for the Inspire key, they're paying $1,900 probably by next year, like you said, OG, $2,000. Why not offer more to them? Why not offer them a one-time free admission to Oogie Boogie on a select night? Why
A
not
pass to get on the rides? Like give them the freaking like 3 or 4 of those, what are they called? The passes you have to pay for to get on all the
the
rides.
lightning lanes?
The lightning Give them a
A-
couple lightning lanes.
and then you got also where we have the 15% discount on food and merch. Why not increase that to 20%? And
Just
then
give them a souvenir cup.
yeah, well, a souvenir cup, or because a lot of people I kind of feel that have the Inspire and the Believe key are content creators and influencers. Why not give them an opportunity for a time slot if they want to, be part of D23, which happens in Anaheim every 2 years, because I know as much as OG and all of us, that when those tickets go on sale, it's a lot worse to try to get those tickets than it is Oogie Boogie. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
you blink and they're gone. So if Disney's going to justify charging me 1,900, 2,000 plus, more than 2,000 in the upcoming years, why not give more incentive to get people to sign up? But then on the other aspect, and George made a great point the other night too. Again, the Disneyland Resort's trying to be like Walt Disney World. They are trying to phase out the locals. They are trying to get more tourists to come in. So by upcharging almost everything with the lightning lanes, the parking, the magic keys, the food, the merch, the experiences, it's starting to kind of sink into the locals' minds. Hey, at what point they start thinking in the back of their mind, at what point do I sit there and say, you know what, I have to put my hands up and I can't do this anymore. It's just too expensive.
Well, that's a
Do
great
you
point,
think-
Conductor,
Okay.
and I'm glad you brought that up, because there is some consumer responsibility here. I would say, I was gonna say a little bit, but kind of a lot actually, because
Yeah.
I see a lot of complaining on X, a lot of complaining on social media about these price hikes, but very little follow through, because the numbers aren't going down. I see still very high demand for these keys and all that stuff. It's like, if the fans are not gonna draw a line in the sand and say, you know what, I'm not buying it, I'm done, I am done, and they walk away. Disney, of course, they're gonna be like, dude, if I have a lemonade stand and I'm selling $40 a glass lemonade, and I have a line around the whole freaking neighborhood to buy my $40 lemonade, why would I lower my prices? People are buying it at $40. So as long as people keep buying this stuff, Disney's not going to lower their prices. Why would they?
Yeah.
You know,
There's no
fans have to
incentive.
pull back. There's no incentive.
There's
Fans have
none.
to pull back. Exactly. And complaining on Twitter for 3 days ain't going to do it. It's not going to be enough. It just isn't. Go ahead, Candid.
Do you think the Olympics has anything to do with this? That's why they're raising these prices to kind of get people out now, so that people can, travel in and have room in the parks, so it's not overly crowded. You
Actually,
could just black out those days, right?
actually, OG, sorry, real quick. Can I answer that real quick? That one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, actually, I had maybe a little hypothesis about that. To me, it seems they're on a very aggressive move with everything. I would just say you look at the construction in DCA, it's going fast.
Yeah.
And with this recent hike, I feel like they're going to get really aggressive with their parks and experience division, and we're going to see it in all types of manner. And I want to say too, with the price increases, once the new Fast and Furious coaster opens at Universal, and the new space area opens at Legoland, you bet your butt they're going to increase their prices as well. Won't be as expensive, but their prices are going to go up. And then are you going to look at it and say, hey, the value's still there? I don't know. We'll have to see.
The thing too with Disney is that do they ever finish projects on time? And that's kind of the crazy thing, is that when they give us a date when something's done, it's never done by that time. So I'm actually really curious, with all this progression that they're getting done so fast. Like, will they just say fuck it and open something like Pandora a year earlier than they anticipated, because of how fast they actually can go?
What
Yeah.
see, it's very interesting, Canon, and OG and myself and Webba have talked about this on previous videos and live streams. Is when you look at Disney, when they build a new attraction or a new land compared to Universal, I kind of feel that I kind of feel they're the number one spot when it comes to construction. They move quick. But the one thing that Universal does that Disney happens to do every single time, but Universal's smart about it, is they will literally start deconstructing stuff, leveling it to the ground, start building the new attraction or new land, won't say anything until almost halfway done with the attraction or land, and then they'll announce what it is first of all, and then they never give a hard time time frame for opening. And on
Yep.
top of that, they especially don't go bragging online how much it's going to cost, because that's one thing Disney still does to this day is they'll sit there and give a hard timeline. Then they'll sit there and say dirt's moving when dirt's not really moving. It took 6 months until dirt was moving. And then on top of that, you got them bragging online. Oh, look at, we're gonna put I'm just gonna throw hypothetical, but we're gonna throw $100 million into Pandora, and then you walk in there and you're like, this is $100 million. How are you gonna justify that one?
You're
Show
you're
me.
right. You're
Yeah.
right, conductor. I'm sorry. You're absolutely correct. That is something that Universal doesn't do. They don't announce price tags, and it is kind of unnecessary because it's kind of like Disney kind of loves to overshare. I think is the best way to put it. They overshare and they overshare too early, so to speak. And I know Bruce Vaughn, the head of Imagineering, is trying to change that a little bit and not releasing too much beforehand. When they release concept art and stuff now, it's more conceptual, more vibey, which I think is a smart move. But yeah, you get yourself into trouble when you overshare and you overshare early, because especially with Disney. I mean, Disney's like a religion to so many people. It's crazy, right? And you release concept art, and these fans are going to hold you to it, to like the exact. I mean, everything in that art fans are expecting to see in real life, and it's just not possible in the real world. I mean, the design process. I mean, there's going to be cuts. I mean, even Michael Eisner. We saw countless projects being like cut back or even just outright removed. Westcott, a lot of the Disney decade never happened. That Baby Buggy Bash thing that they were going to, the Roger Rabbit ride, the Baby Herman coaster thing never happened. There was so much. I think there was even a Dick Tracy ride, never happened.
Yeah.
So a lot of this stuff, Disney kind of overshares to get the hype, and then it falls under, and they get in a world of hurt. And the price tag theme park conductor, to your point, is one of those things, because now you have fans going through there and analyzing numbers. Oh, well, it's going to cost $1 billion, but I don't know. But they have this other project over here, though. I mean, what does that mean? It's unnecessary. Don't announce the money stuff. I mean, on an earnings call, I guess you have to, but do it like how you don't. Yeah.
But see, here's the other thing, and I love this analogy from OG, and I think it's funnier than hell. And I mention it every so often, is when Disney announces a price for a land or attraction, and us Disney nerds or theme park nerds in this case go into that attraction or go into that land and start making, start investigating. Okay, Disney said it costs this much to build this attraction or this land. Let's break it down. But then you got the other half where it's the soccer mom family that don't care about the price tag. They just care, look, a new shiny land, a new shiny attraction is available now. They don't analyze that stuff. But us theme park nerds, across the board on social media, we analyze this stuff. So I kind of feel and again, Disney can learn a lot from Universal. If they want to, announce time frames and whatnot, that's fine. But the biggest negativity is announcing a price tag. Just do not do that. Don't sit there and go at D23, get on stage and say, "Yep, we're going to build Pandora. It's going to take this amount of time, and we're spending $100 million." And then we go in there and we're like, "Okay, where's the $100 million investment? You can't tell me this screw right here costs you $100,000 for this wall over here. You can't play stupid games like that." So again, I kind of feel there's that negativity compared to Universal that doesn't say that and just starts building stuff, and we kind of have to speculate along the way.
Yeah, Universal handles it much better with that. Go ahead.
The other side of this too is that, like, I'm going to use this weird term, but like blowing your wad. Disney's going to end up doing that because they have so much happening at one time. So the thing is now, do you really push Pandora out because you have to, because you don't want to put everything at one time? Because guess what happens when you have everything at one time in such a small space? There's no room, and then you're packed. Or do you do that and raise the price once again for everything and try to push people out?
Well, Kenny, here's the thing. Universal is doing the same thing, though. I mean, they have construction, right, for the coaster at Hollywood. They're going to have the hotel. We know this, right? They have two. They have one already open. Horror Unleashed. They're going to have another one. They have the Universal Kids Park coming to Texas, and then now they're going to have Universal UK. I mean, to me, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But that's
know,
spread
right
out.
now.
I'm talking about putting Pandora. You're putting Coco. You're gonna put in what's the other one? I can't think of
Avengers.
the other ride right now. There you
Avengers.
go, Avengers. Like that's a lot in one spot, and then you're supposed to make it like keep pushing it out year by year.
Well,
Well,
It doesn't make sense.
oh, go ahead, OG.
Well, real quick, conductor. Sorry about that. The issue with that is I agree with how much investment DCA is getting right now because it needs it. But I also see your point where I think that the reason why we're in this situation with DCA is because they haven't been really investing in it properly, really since 2.0, since 2012. There should have been a much bigger investment along the way, so we don't have to have 2 Avengers rides, a Coco Boat ride, an entire Pandora, all in
Yep.
one, 5-year thing. Go ahead, conductor.
Well, see that you bring up an excellent point because when you look at DCA, the 2 attractions for Avengers, that's fine. If they want to ramp up construction, which they have been, and I give them a round of applause for that because they've been moving so fast on that. And then you got the Coco Dark ride on the western side of DCA that's going to be
That works.
under construction, which is fine. But then I also say the same thing with Pandora. Maybe they're trying to build these 3 attractions first, which they are doing because they know the world of Pandora and James Cameron is literally going to slow the process down to make sure every little detail in the land is accurate, not cheap, and it's authentic. And I said to George the other day, I said, because he brought up a great point, and I see his side of it, and I see OG's side because OG's brought it up as well. Not every single land has to have more than one attraction. But on the other hand, the world of Pandora, the footprint it's going to take in the Hollywood backlot, I kind of feel they could have 2 attractions. But this is how I would do it. If I was an Imagineer, if I was Bruce Vaughn, I would work hard with James Cameron to build the land, to have the one attraction. But when you go into Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, okay, obviously there's 2 attractions, but you're walking around the land and whatnot. You can see these big, grand, entrances that could be possibly future, attractions coming to the land in years to come. What if the world of Pandora did that, but they just didn't announce that second attraction, but they left it open for that second attraction to come years later?
I would be fine with that. I would be fine with that. And I mentioned this on your live that you did with George the other day, because I think that we're getting Pandora, we're getting the experience, the land, right, with the boat ride. We're getting a Coco boat ride, and we're getting 2 Avengers rides.
Yeah.
I think if it was just Pandora and we weren't getting the other stuff, I could see the case to be made. Okay, we need the land to open with 2 rides, right? But when you already have 2 Avengers rides and a Coco ride, I think you can do 1 ride in Pandora and it's cool on opening day, right? And then, like you were saying, conductor, in 3 or 4 years, we can revisit this and build a second attraction in the future. I think that's completely fine. I personally, you know what I'm saying? I'm fine with that.
Well, see, because that's a smart way to do it, because if you build the infrastructure for that second attraction, but just not say anything, that's how I would do it. Because the one thing that Galaxy's Edge is hurting, and I give Orange Grove 55 and George the credit on this, because I didn't really think about this until they mentioned it a while back, was when Galaxy's Edge opened. Technically, it only opened with Millennium Falcon. It didn't open with Rise. But the problem that happened was not a lot of people were visiting that land like Disney thought, because they said, oh, well, the land's going to have 2 attractions. And once people went through Millennium Falcon, they're like, okay, well, when are you guys going to open Rise? And then, the rumor, the rumors, the news started spreading that across social media, and people are like, well, I've already ridden Millennium Falcon. Why do I want to go back into that land until the second attraction is open? But again, that goes back to Disney opening their mouth saying, "Hey, you know, we're going to have 2 attractions, but only one's going to be open on grand opening day of that land." That's where I think they can learn from with building the world of Avatar. Open with 1 attraction, don't announce anything about the second attraction, but build the infrastructure out to make sure it's ready for when they want to build the second attraction.
It's a
So
great,
Uh, I
the
great
thing is
think
with that, the thing is with that too is that you're kind of right, but if you really look at it, you're going to get um, Stark Flight Lab first, probably because that's an easier ride, right? I'm assuming. So that'll be 2027 or 2026, and then you're going to get Coco. They're not going to. You're going to go Coco next. That's going to open on the opposite side. So now you can mitigate or like you move people to where they need to go, and then you have the next year, which is 2028 or 2029, maybe, or probably 2028, and then you have the other Avengers ride open, and then that leaves 2029 for Avatar with the one ride like you mentioned. And then what do? You go to Disneyland at that point, open some stuff over there, and then you have to be able to bring back a big ride again, like they did with Rise of the Resistance. What, a year or two later, back over in Avatar. And I think that's going to be the timeline for it because you don't want to like I said. I don't think Disney's going to just blow the whole thing at one time. They need to have consistency throughout years.
Yeah. They need to sprawl it out. And again, I kind of see that. So that to me that would make perfect sense. Because one thing they Disney has already stated is that Eastern Gateway parking structure, they have to build that first and complete it alongside the Sky Bridge before Avatar can even start. And that size of a parking structure at least takes about a year and a quarter, 2 years, maybe 2.5 years tops. So we're talking again, probably by 2028, 2029, they can even start building the world of Avatar. So by then, you'll have at least 3 attractions open for DCA, which I agree with OG and Webba that DCA has needed the help for years since the 2.0 remodel back in 2012. But then I also agree with Camper saying, okay, now we need to make our focus to Disneyland. And the question that becomes is, okay, do we add a third attraction, the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge? Do we build something in the Lilo and Stitch parking lot? Or do we give the fans what they've really been
Tomorrowland.
complaining about for years and almost decades? Do we block off Tomorrowland, bulldoze the damn thing almost to the ground, leave Space Mountain alone, bulldoze everything else and start over?
Yeah.
What if they flip the script on us and they see? Oh my god, I love this. This is why I love doing this, dude. So, what if Avengers opens up and it's such a fucking hit, which it's gonna be because it's Avengers, and they're like, you know what, dude, Mister Cameron, let's just put this Avatar over in Disneyland because we're not going to need anything over here for a long time because we're going to have Coco. And let's expand, like I mentioned before on this channel, let's expand Avengers Campus all the way down and put it where they wanted to put Avatar. And then you put Avatar in Disneyland. Call it a day.
so. Here's sorry, actually, go ahead. I'll do my
No,
No,
go ahead,
you
Webba,
go.
go ahead.
You go.
Go ahead.
No, I was say so this kind of gets to where these theme parks, right? I love theme parks, right? We all love theme parks. But this is where and of course Universal started this trend with the Wizarding World, right? This is where my worry kind of comes into play is with how much limited space our California parks have, how much acreage are we going to be using for single IP lands?
Yeah.
Much.
That's a great
You
point.
know,
That's a great point.
so
But
that's
it's Avatar Avengers though. You're not. Your thing is you have every comic known to man.
well,
You're not
right,
putting
but
one Avatar in there.
well, I get that, but same thing you can say for Star Wars, right? I mean, I would have
Yeah, they
even
fucked
though
that up.
okay, so because look, right, is at Universal, right? I like Harry Potter a lot. I like the Wizarding World, right? But I wouldn't want like 50 acres of Harry Potter dedication if it meant sacrificing a lot of other IPs that could go in that same type of space. You know what I mean? Because I want different IPs, different experiences. So with this whole IP based thing, again, with our limited capacity and space here in Southern California, how much further is this single IP land thing going to be?
We
How much
didn't need.
bigger?
We don't need Avatar. That's the biggest fucking thing for me. We don't need Avatar in Disneyland or in DCA. We didn't. Once again, here it is. We didn't need 14 acres of Galaxy's Edge. That was, and I will preach this on OG's channel every fucking time I come on here. That was made for New Fantasyland. That's what we needed. And if you really want to look at it that way, Webba, Fantasyland itself is the same thing as going with Avengers in my perspective, because you're still going off of books or random princesses, which Avengers, and you have I mean I'm not gonna get into it, but there's a whole bunch of other comics. So it's the same thing, but it's still
That's true.
different. There's a common theme between both of them, but
Yeah,
it's
that's true.
still different enough that you go on it and you're like, oh, cool. I'm gonna go see Galactus today versus I'm gonna go hang out with Tony Stark. I'm gonna go see a Princess and the Frog, or Mr. Toad, and I'm gonna go see Snow White.
Right.
You go to Galaxy's Edge, like you mentioned, now you're like, oh, cool, I'm gonna go see Star Wars, and then I'm gonna go see Star Wars.
And I think to your point, which I know you're now, they said you're right, because Fantasyland or they're all multiple IPs, like in Fantasy Springs, right? It's one thing, but there's
And I
multiple
love that.
IPs.
That's what Disney was about. And we're not getting that anymore. It's gone.
And that's because of Universal. And I'm not blaming. I mean, I'm blaming them, but I'm not blaming them. I mean, Disney isn't forced to do anything, but the Wizarding World's success changed the industry, and that's when you started to see those really one IP heavy lands. I will say this: I find them deciding to put Avatar in DCA very interesting, because this is based on the next like 3 movies, and we don't really know anything about any of these movies. So there might be a legitimate reason why it's being put in this park that we're not even aware of, because we don't know the story beats even for the next movie, let alone the next 2 after that. So it's possible there is some sort of storyline in some of these sequels in Avatar that like it makes the most sense. You also have to remember James Cameron is heavily involved in this because he's just that kind of guy. I mean, for all we know, it was his decision to put it in that park. We don't even know.
The whole new movie is going to be filmed in DCA. What are we talking about right here?
You know what I'm saying? There we go. There we go. So for all we know, it was James Cameron who made that call. I don't know, because I don't know any of the storylines for these things. You know what I'm saying?
He wouldn't agree if it didn't make sense either. And then we got to trust that.
That's true.
But see, before they officially announced that it was going to go in the Hollywood backlot, I kind of expressed my opinion multiple times. I think total we almost did like 10 different videos between my channel and OG's channel on this. Is if like OG's saying they're supposed to base the next 3 movies and put that type of storytelling into this land, and we've all seen the Hollywood backlight, how big it is, even with them kind of blowing it out into the Esplanade a little bit. Is there enough land to justify 3 movies of storytelling of Avatar into this land, or should they have really considered maybe putting it into the Simba parking lot, which is a much bigger footprint, which they could have explored a much. They wouldn't feel like they would have to cram so much stuff in there and not have the room for it.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was saying, and I think that's kind of where we come to the issue with these theme parks, right? Is you had big immersive worlds that we want, like Star Wars or Harry Potter, right? Oh, this is awesome! I can see Hogwarts Castle, get to walk inside, right? Super cool, right? We all want to kind of live out our like fantastical experiences from movies we saw growing up, but then again, that goes back to the single land IP issue. Now you're taking up all this acreage for one IP, right? But it's amazing. It's super immersive, right? It's the theme in the theme park. So how do you try to
Indiana
balance that,
Jones, right? Webba, you're gone. You're helping out Indy, bro. Like you're helping out Indy, and then you get off the ride and you're back in Adventureland.
Oh no, exactly. And yeah, exactly. That's why I love
you do that. And it works. And it works. And that's why we might be talking out the side of our asses or whatever the term is, the side of our necks or whatever it is. Someone's ass can talk to you out the side of it. That's why it might be called an experience, because there could be more to it that we just don't know.
Yeah,
But
and
at the same time, what is it?
yeah, no, that's important. It's important, and that's why I bring that up every now and then on the channel. Is that the movies we don't really know? You know, there's a lot of secrecy behind this. We don't even know. This is a land that we know little to nothing about, based
Exactly.
on like 3 or 4 movies that we know nothing about.
Yeah.
So we're kind of speculating on this, like, well, it doesn't fit this park, but we don't really know that. There could be a California thing in one of these. They could visit Earth and visit California in the last one or something. We don't know. You know what I'm saying? And then it would make sense. And you know, but you know,
Do you think
it's a
do you think DCA is going to throw the whole views out of, like, I think they're just don't care that this thing's going to be a monster and it's just going to sit right next to the Tower of Terror at every angle?
well, it's tough. They will probably more than likely do a lot of Imagineering architecture tricks to hide stuff because they're pretty good at that. They could do that, and Cameron's gonna make sure that they do.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's tough putting it there because you have all these things, and then supposedly the Hyperion is gonna stay, which is like that's a massive
That
building
blows
right
my
there.
mind. But okay, perfect. Here's another one. Hyperion. You have it there. It's in the middle. You got mom and dad playing tug of war. Who
Yes.
gets it? Is that the third ride for Avatar for the third or the last movie that we need? Or is that going to go to Avengers?
Well, that's a good question. I think it could go either. I think it could go either way. I think it could go either way. The only problem, though, and I'm going to lean towards Papa Avatar on this one, and the reason why I'm leaning towards Papa Avatar and not Mama Marvel is because Marvel hasn't had the greatest run at the box office lately. I mean, you know, they really haven't. The superhero thing is kind of waning quite a bit. Avengers, though, Way of Water made $2 billion. Now, if this Fire and Ash thing does another $2 billion, there's the Hyperion will probably go to Avatar. You know,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Although OG, I would like to say, not to counter your point. I do agree with you. However, I do believe that like with Waterworld, right? Great example. If if the execution, good or bad, that's what it's going to be, and people are going to like it. You know, so
True.
like with Waterworld, movie, not good. Show, fantastic.
Oh
All
hell
right.
yeah!
So if you have something that's not doing so hot right now, and you make a banger attraction, people are going to love it.
Sure.
Well,
So
the Captain America or the Rogers musical did really well, didn't it?
I have no
It
idea.
did,
Yeah,
but it
three.
was only yeah, it did well. People liked it, but yeah, they only ran that for like 2 months. But going into that, to be fair to Disney, they did say it was a limited run release out the
Yeah.
gate, I believe, right? I think it was known at the beginning.
Mhm.
But
But
they haven't invested anything in that theater, and it's just sitting there.
well, see, again, I'm going to give a different perspective here, because when you look at Avatar and how it's going to sit, you know, my question is, and again, this gives this location some time to kind of, you know, show its age a little bit more, but I honestly do think that theater is going to go to Marvel. And I really honestly think the building across the street, literally diagonal from that theater, is also going to go to Marvel. And that might be 2 attractions right there. Now, when it comes to Avatar, I think Avatar eventually is going to take over Philhar Magic, because by the time
Oh
they
yeah.
start building Avatar, we're talking another probably 3 or 4 years from now. You know, even though they just invested money into that show with new projection and possibly an updated show to a point and elements, is it still going to be new, and is it still going to have the popularity 4 years from now when they start building Avatar? I don't think so. So in that case, we can see even more of Hollywood Boulevard just go away, but then we're also gaining possibly 2 or 3 attractions in Avatar, and gaining another maybe 2 or 3 attractions for Avengers, which I would be fine with. I honestly would be fine with that, because if we got you know, an attraction kind of like Cosmic Rewind, and then we possibly got an attraction kind of like that new Spider-Man attraction. Shout out to Webba. The Spider-Man attraction, that roller coaster in Shanghai Disney, that would just make the Avengers campus just phenomenal.
Well, what
And
about this? What about this? Well, I mean, think about this, conductor, too. What if they kind of reimagine Hollywoodland a little bit, right? Because
okay,
what's Avatar? It's a Fox property, right?
it is.
The Fox property, but Fox also had some of the rights to some of these Marvels movies. So
Okay.
what if that main drag, Hollywood Boulevard, is like Fox Plaza or something, and you can go left into Avatar, and then right, and then you can even have like an X-Men attraction, maybe on the you know, on that side or something like that. Would do you think that could work?
I could see that, because they, you know, they clearly stated they could, because they had Deadpool doing meet and greets with Wolverine. So the possibilities are there. They can explore that. And you know, one thing that George mentioned on my live stream the other night was the fact that this third gate, again, it's not confirmed by any means necessary, but the third gate of the Toy Story parking lot, you know, because people have talked about, even Disney sent out, you know, questionnaires about Simpsons being incorporated into the Disney parks. What if the third gate for the Disneyland Resort in the Toy Story parking lot, what if that becomes the Fox property park, and kind of
Right.
just get it away from DCA, get it away from Disneyland, and just have that park more of like a Fox type studio IP third gate park?
Yeah. And our friend Hey Bricky did a great video on that recently, where he made an excellent case about that, where if you have a third gate, you're going to want to have it have a very different personality than the two existing parks. How do you do that? Well, those Fox IPs bring a lot of it, a very unique kind of thing that you don't really have at DCA. Like if you could have in that third park, you know, Planet of the Apes, Alien, Predator, you can have a whole bunch of stuff that's way edgier than even DCA. You know what I'm saying? So that's a great point. That's a great point. And shout out to Hey Bricky. We're all big fans of his. He's awesome. Great dude.
I got something for you guys on that topic
Sure.
real quick.
Sure.
So what we are getting too trapped into putting Marvel into that one spot. If you
Sure.
look around the world at all these other Disney parks, there's multiple places that they're in, and look at Epcot. So the thing is that you're even though you're tied to Marvel as an IP, Marvel's an IP, they're in different galaxies, they're in different worlds, they're in different places. So what is going to stop us? Oh, I love this one. What's going to stop them from taking interventions and making that Professor X's, you know, get the school for the gifted? Like, there's your X-Men.
Well,
And then right next door, to go for it. Go ahead.
yeah, no, you could do that. You could do that. I'm perfectly content with having Marvel at Disneyland. I know a lot of fans don't like that. That doesn't bother me. We already have Toy Story in both parks, so I don't see why they can't do Marvel in both parks. I mean, Fantastic Four it was basically built for that land. I mean, the aesthetics of it is perfect. We could do that. Webba mentioned the little robot, Herbie. Dude, like some kind of Fantastic Four attraction with a little Herbie in there. Dude, that's sick. What you were saying too, the X-Men, I'd be down for that. You know, that'd be cool. Or a Stark Expo thing. That's awesome.
There's places it can work. I don't like that.
Okay, well, okay, I won't get into that.
we talked about it a little bit yesterday. It's just I don't want to get into that again, man.
Yeah, I hear you. No, but
Tron's fun. It's a fun ride. It just I don't. It's just Tron. I'd rather have Fantastic Four.
Well, no, I hear you, and I personally would love Fantastic Four, because one thing that screamed in the movie was that kind of retro style, futuristic IP, and what's part of that? People Mover, which I absolutely love. But when you look at what you're saying about Avengers being only on one spot, you know what they could do with the Simba parking lot, since they've already made their mind about putting Pandora in the Hollywood backlot. You know, like Webba has said in the past, What about a Wakanda land in the Simba parking lot, which is completely on the opposite side of where Avengers Campus is, because now it's another new land to explore, and it's not literally right next to Tony Stark, which is kind of like that futuristic kind of character IP, and then Wakanda's
Exactly.
kind of like that old school, you know, yeah, I could see that. I could
Yeah,
definitely.
And it has to happen that
100%.
way, otherwise it doesn't make sense.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, no,
Um,
100%. Now, I want to
what?
ask you
Yeah.
guys. I want to ask you guys because obviously there's a lot going on with DCA right now, right? And we see a lot. And I'm going to kind of tie all this whole conversation together, if leading into our next segment. But like, we're seeing price hikes especially when it comes to like locals. You know, what I'm saying, with the Magic Keys, we're seeing a pretty heavy investment in this resort. What can Disney do to lure more tourism? You know, I mean, what do you say, Mr. Webbo? I mean, what can they do to lure more people in from out of state, out of country? Because I feel like that's kind of like what they want to do,
Mhm.
but they're, I don't know. I feel like that there's a goal there, but is there anything they can do? Because obviously, look, it's never going to be. Here's my take on it, real quick. It's never going to be Walt Disney World because you don't have the beachside resorts and all that stuff. It's never going to be that.
No.
Nothing ever will be Walt Disney World. That's a whole different animal, right? At the same time, though, I think Disneyland deserves more than the Knott's Berry Farm treatment, where it's like a Southern California thing. Like, I think it's bigger than that. So I would like to find a little bit of a sweet spot, and I feel like right now it's a little too locals heavy. But maybe I'm wrong. I mean, maybe that's subjective. You know, maybe you know, you guys have a different opinion on that. But what's your take on it? Do you think do you think they even need to attract more local? I mean, more tourism. If you do, what do you think they can do to do that? Are they going in the right direction?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, right? In my opinion, they're being very aggressive with expanding their parks and also charge up prices. And I think the reason for that is they do want to make Disneyland the vacation destination, right? However, I think to do that, you will need at least a third park and
Yep.
at least one or two more hotels. I think then that would justify tourists to come over here to West Coast because you have to think about it. What's on our side over here? We have New Zealand, Japan, Australia, right? And some other countries. But Walt Disney World, they have more marketing and they have a lot more travelers from the Atlantic side. They have the UK, all of Europe, all those. There's so many countries over there, and it's easier for them to fly over the Atlantic to Walt Disney World compared to if you have to. Let's say you're coming from the UK, fly to Florida, then you have to fly all the way to California. That's more trip time and more money. So how do you incentivize that? You have to have more marketing showing what a great destination the West Coast is going to be, and I would say you have to at least, and I would say that you have to at least have more to offer because while our park here does have more all in basically two parks compared to four parks, the perception is that's not the case to the normies. So
Right.
you need to show that we do have a lot to offer here for the value that they're charging the premium for the tourists, to hey, come on over. So that's
Yeah.
what I
Well,
think they need to do.
well, see, you make an excellent point because that's why, I kind of feel Disneyland Forward finally got approved, and then you're seeing a lot of construction happening at Universal Studios Hollywood with expansion. You got the Honda Center with OC Vibe getting
Mhm.
massive amount of entertainment space, stores, shopping, restaurants, just the whole nine yards, and then they're even implementing some type of gondola system between OC Vibe, and then you got the convention center, you got Disneyland, and multiple stops. And then, again, not confirmed by Disney, but looking at that third gate, which would be the Toy Story parking lot, which people have already speculated that it's going to have at least one, if not two, hotels on property for that. So, on something like that, we're still years and years, almost 10 years away from that.
Yeah.
As much as
Mhm.
Disney wants to ramp up construction, and believe me, if you're going to increase prices across the board, and like you said, Webba, not to only pick on Disney, but kind of pick on Universal a little bit, you
Mhm.
know, I guarantee you, and I can promise you, once Hollywood Drift opens, prices are going to go up for everything, annual passes, food, merch, and all that. But look what we're gaining in that, interim. We're getting a new attraction. They're already talking about expansion in the lower lot. We're definitely getting one, if not two hotels. They're upgrading security. They're adding new restaurants and shops in the Universal City Walk. Then, if you look at, I wouldn't say Knott's Berry Farm, because they're kind of a hit and miss right now. They're kind of stuck in, in the middle. They're not really expanding at the moment. But if you look at Six Flags, they're building a new attraction. They're probably going to build more. So in a way, we're about 10 years away. 10 years, I would say, then we can start to, say the Disneyland Resort is a tourist destination. But until that happens, my question to all three of you is, does Disney keep increasing prices to force out the locals and try to grab that tourist destination or tourist, guest? But then when the tourist guests do kind of start to flow in, do they feel like they got the bang for their buck, or do they kind of feel like, it was great, but it wasn't a tourist destination like Walt Disney World, which might have less attractions, like Webba was saying, between 4 parks, but then they got a lot more activities and hotels to incorporate that.
Well, I think that's why I think it's very important they bring DCA up to snuff here. Like, they need DCA to be a much more of a
Yeah.
top tier park. I love DCA and I always defend that park. I love it. There's a lot of potential there. But the Pandora, the Avengers, the Coco, all that stuff needs to be done, because right now, yeah, it really falls short. If you're coming all the way from Japan or Australia or something, and you see this park with a giant Ferris wheel, it doesn't exactly scream world-class destination. You know what I'm saying? You
No.
kind of have to
Yes.
have a little bit something in there to make it feel like, wow, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is something different.
Well-
And
Well, see, it's interesting you mention it like that, because I want to answer kind of like what Camper was saying. If they're sprawling out projects, I think, if they take a different avenue and they kind of open, the two Avengers attractions, and then they open the Coco Dark Ride before 2029, and they have all three of those attractions to open, and they don't really sprawl that out, but they know Avatar is going to take several years to build, then maybe that's the justification they want to kind of bring DCA up another level, which it desperately needs.
big time.
Well,
Big time.
and
Go ahead, bro.
also I think too, going about talking about like your local economy. I think that one, if let's say there is two hotels and planning to be made, right? I think one of those needs to be a valley resort. We don't have one of those. And I think when you have vacationers spending thousands of dollars, or even someone like Candid Camper who's far and has to still spend thousands of dollars, you still want to encourage tourism, right? So, to your park and to your city. So how are you going to do that? Well, you got to at least have a value resort. And Walt Disney World has a good amount. They have your deluxe and your premium ones, but they also have values. And I believe we should have value resorts also, because again, our local economy here in California, the expenses are a lot higher than they are out in Florida.
They are, and that's something Disneyland itself needs to look at very hard going into the future, especially if they're going to add more hotels to the resort in the future. And that's one thing Universal is looking at in Hollywood. They're going to have their premium A-star hotel right in the front, but then they're going to have the secondary hotel, which is more of a budget friendly hotel. And I agree with you. I 100% agree with you, because most families that are tourists that do go visit the Disneyland Resort nowadays, I can almost guarantee you, I would say, I'm just throwing a number here and it's not even accurate, but I would say at least a good 75, if not close to 80% of the families coming out here to experience Disneyland is not staying on property. Because when you look at the Grand Californian, you look at, you know, the Disneyland Towers, you look at Pixar Place, all those hotels, I think the cheapest out of all those is about 400 or 500 a night.
And how much time are you
Compared
spending in those rooms? That's the other
to-
side.
Exactly. You're not spending that much time in the rooms like Candid Camper saying. So does it justify paying that type of price every single night for you to stay maybe a couple hours in that room, and 99% of the time you're in the parks? It's the same thing in Los Angeles when you're going to Universal. The one thing that people are kind of forced into at the moment is looking at the Hilton or looking at the Sheraton that's literally right there, but you're paying that high price ticket or high prices to stay at those hotels, and you're not even staying in there enough to justify it. So I 100% agree with Webba. There needs to be more budget friendly hotels at these theme parks, including Disneyland and Universal. They need to
Right.
start.
And here's the thing. So to play devil's advocate with myself on this very thing, right? So we're all nerds, right? So we discuss this based off our nerd and locality perspective, right?
Sure.
However, when you're looking from a vacation, like someone from Iowa, Wisconsin, the UK or wherever they may be, right?
Japan.
When they're Japan, right? Japan, Thailand, right?
There we go.
So when they're coming over here, for us as locals, we think, okay, what's the incentive, right? What's the incentive to stay at Universal, to stay at Legoland, to stay at, Disney, right? What's the incentive to stay there? For us, just being in the bubble of that theme park isn't enough. But for these vacationers, maybe that is enough. Maybe hey, I've had this once in a life or once every 10-year trip. I want to be in that bubble,
Yeah.
right?
That's true.
Because look at this, at Legoland, California, they have 2 hotels, but also just right behind the park, they have now, OG, I think I showed you this. There's a bunch of, there's Marriott's and Hiltons and all this other stuff that are all lined up in the back, and guests can
Yeah.
actually stay back there and then walk through the backside of the parking, enter the park. Why? Because it's cheaper. It's an alternative stay. Now that's kind of your
Yes.
equivalent of like the Good Neighbor Hotel. But with that being said, is that the people who are staying on site, they want to be on site right there in the bubble, right? So
Yeah.
for them, if they're far away, that is their incentive. But for someone like us, it's not enough, right? So it all depends. What perspective are you looking at this from? And I think these theme parks, they don't look at it from a hardcore nerd perspective. They
No.
look at it, how can we get the general public, the general normie, into these parks?
Well said.
Yep. And I got a good one for you too, because I've been in Florida twice, and one time we stayed on property at Disney World, and the second time we stayed off property. And
Mhm.
luckily, the time we stayed off property, there was a transportation to the parks. But the thing is, I was also 20 to 30 minutes away from that park. And
Mhm.
20 to 30 minutes is a long time for a family of 5 trying to get ready, be there at the bus on time to make it to the park on time. And then after a long day, having to wait for that bus to show up and go. And they only had 2 buses running from that place where
Oof.
I'm the next time we went, we were on I think we stayed at Pop Century. And the only reason why I picked Pop is that because you had you had your own bus from transportation from the park to there.
Mm.
You didn't have to make multiple stops. So I was like, value resort, and
Yeah.
there's one stop. Hell yeah, why not? And that made my experience that much easier and better. And that's why I would stay in the bubble next time, just because of the time I'm saving. Yeah, I might be spending a little bit more money staying at the Disneyland park, but the transportation is what's going to get me. And that's the difference between Disneyland. All these local hotels, they're walking distance,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and you're still paying $400 or $500. And you hit it on the head, dude. Like, add a third park. That's exactly what you need to show value,
Mhm.
and give us value resorts. And a value
Mm.
resort can be the same competitive price as all the other people on Catella, $400 a
Oh
night,
yeah.
and
Mhm.
people will still stay there because it's gonna be Disney. It doesn't have to be Disney themed like all the way. Just give me like look what they did with the Pixar place. It's not even really themed, and you're paying $600 a night there. Like, come on,
Yeah.
that's bullshit.
It's it's a justification issue.
It's Disney generic.
Yeah, pretty much. So I don't know. Again, to kind of just top it off from my side, we're about 10 years away.
I agree with
That's
that.
realistically where we're at.
Conductor,
So
let me ask you this though: Do they need to start building during Avatar, or do you think they wait
for what, the third gate?
for the third gate?
So this is how I'm going to look at it. I think, in the next, I'm going to give it about 7 years. Seriously, I'm going to give it about 7 years from this moment to then, to then, to have Avatar open, to have the Avengers attractions open, to have, the Coco Dark Ride, then have the Sky Bridge, the Eastern Gateway done. After all that, and then maybe they start work at Tomorrowland, or they look at expanding in the Simba or Lilo and Stitch parking lots. Then at that point, 7 years from now, I can see them acquiring that parking lot and start the build. But realistically, with permits and the whole waiting game on that, I can see them building the third gate, or at least starting to 10 years from now. So that's 2035. I can see that when they're going to start building that. To be
Yeah,
honest.
I will. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Real quick, I was just saying. I feel like, yeah, if you would have asked me this years ago, I would have said it's decades and decades away. But with all the moves being made right now, the city of Anaheim looking for a gondola system to get to all the major locations in that area, Disneyland Resort, Angel Stadium, the OC Vibe, all that stuff. Right, we're seeing moves being made over there. We already have Disneyland Forward all done and approved. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like there's stuff going on. Eastern Gateway, there's stuff happening right now where I feel like there's a lot of smoke, and there's probably fire with this. I think that they are definitely in the early stages of planning for that third gate. I can feel it. I can feel it.
I ask you something?
Yeah.
What do you, if you get that third gate though, do we get a complete park, or do we that's the biggest thing? Are we going to get a complete park? If the pandemic didn't happen, we would have had Epic Universe in about 4 years compared to 6 years. So does Disney get a 4-year timeline to build what they can in that park? And is it going to be 4 lands? And in those 4 lands, are we going to get 1 ride each, because they're going to push it out another 4 years to get 4 more rides, because that's the Disney way? Or are they going to do what Epic Universe did and give us complete lands?
I hope they
Besides
give us.
Nintendo.
Yeah, I hope they give us complete lands. I think if you're going to do it right. I mean, obviously, the land that they have there, I think the total land space is like 95 to 100 acres. I
That's
think
crazy.
yeah, it's pretty big, and realistically, you could probably build like a DCA style park there, because the old Disneyland surface parking lot that they built DCA on was 100 acres, and DCA ended up being about 75 to 85 acres when you count the Grand Cali. So they could do a decent sized park over there, but you have to do it right. You have got to do it right. You have to really, really make this a full experience. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, because you have to think about it as well. Basically, at this point, the Toy Story parking lot is the last ditch effort for the Disneyland Resort to have another gate, so
Right.
another park. They don't have any other spots. And, I'm guilty of this myself. If you want to ask me a year or two ago about possibly looking at the Angel Stadium area, first of all, I would tell you, if I was thinking about it back then, it's too far away from the Disneyland Resort. Second of all, there's been whispers and murmurs for years about the Angels vacating that area and being relocated somewhere else in Orange County. Even if they decide to leave that spot, could you honestly justify putting another Disney park in that area, being so far away from actual Disneyland? I don't think you could. And if you could, it would be very interesting how the hell they would do that. But it's unrealistic. So when I'm saying the Toy Story parking lot is the last ditch effort, I honestly mean it. So whatever they put into that third gate, if it does get approved and Disney does move forward with it, they have to be very strategic, and they have to make sure whatever IP or lands based off IPs they put into
That's
that
the sad
park
part.
can last 10, 15, 20
And
years.
that's what's sad about it. And we talked
Yeah.
about it earlier today. You're gonna put one land with one IP, it's gonna fuck you over. You
You
can't
can't do
do
that
that
over
at
there.
every new park. And we're already feeling it at Epic Universe. You know, with some of the lands. Yeah, we have an amazing Isle of Burke, but what else are you gonna do there? And it's always gonna be Isle of Burke. Or
Yeah.
at least the horror section, you can add a Universal monster, a different Universal monster to it. That's
Right. Well,
done well. Even Harry Potter, like
Yeah.
you had to go to the Ministry. Like no one likes the Ministry, man. Like come on, that's weird. It's a weird,
Well,
weird flex. Go ahead, go ahead.
no, saying, and that's what that's my fear with the single IP lands. Is
Yeah.
that exactly? Because again, you only have so much space, and I would say that for Legoland, I would say it for Six Flags, I would say it for SeaWorld, I would say it for Universal. All the parks here in California do not have the land capacity
They're
that our
landlocked.
counterparts. Yeah, they're low landlocked compared to Florida.
yeah,
So
you can't
usually
do. No, you're right, Webba. You're right, conductor. I mean, Candy Camper. You're all right on that, because if you only have 75 acres to work with, you got to have mixed IP lands, and that's why I think they should be
Westcott.
Westcott. There we go.
That's absolutely
You know how much money you would make with just
yes.
the food? Give me a
Dude.
badass food place and then an attraction that
Hey,
that meets the
Yeah.
food.
So Candid, I have to tell you, because I've said it probably for a while now. I'm going to be going to Orlando in March. It's going to be my first time ever experiencing
love it,
Walt
dude.
Disney World or Universal, and I've told people for years, the one park at Walt Disney World I want to experience above all the rest is Epcot. There's nothing else. There's nothing other that even comes close to what Epcot is. There's nothing. And I have to tell you, it's funny because my aunt, because I was at a family function a couple weeks ago, and she's all like, "Yeah, I heard you're going to Orlando in March. You have to do Epcot." She was like almost shaking me. She's like, "You have to do Epcot. You have to do Epcot." And I'm like, "Don't worry, Aunt. I'm doing Epcot. That's my most anticipated land." So I agree with you. If the Westcott idea came back off the shelf and got dusted off and got brought to the light, I would love that.
Well,
And the thing
we
is, go ahead.
we talk about locals, right? We do have a big local fan base here. Well, the locals would eat that up with the drinking around the
Exactly.
world stuff, right?
There's your money that you're missing out on. And if you really look at it, and conductor, you'll see it when you get there. If you look at a perfect example is France.
Yeah.
How well France is, and once they put Ratatouille in there, it literally made that place evolve into like an untouchable land or mini land. You have everything that you can think of from France, and then you have the ride to match it perfectly, and so well done. And you got to remember, when you get there, you'll see all these places, they're literally mini lands. They're not massive, but somehow they make them look massive or longer. There's
Sure.
just different ways they play with it. And even though on a map it looks huge, you can do a lot in that parking lot to make all that work. But then the other question is, OG, what do you put there? Because you can't really copy all
No,
these
I
other
would do the
places.
original. I would do the original concept for Westcott, which was not countries but continents.
Yep,
Yes.
I
The
think that worked the
continents,
best.
and then
Oh
you
my
can
god,
put,
that's even better.
right. It's
Yeah.
perfect. It's perfect. I mean, it would be absolutely perfect. Now, the other thing too, if you have magic bands, when you scan in, they can go, "Hi." You know what I'm saying? Because it's Westcott, bro.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, dude. Oh my god. No, you're absolutely right. And at the beginning of this video, we talked about the value of the price increases. That's one thing I 100% want to see different, is the Magic Band technology involve, kind of like what Walt Disney World has with, being able to use it for to buy merch or buy food or get into your hotel room or scan in for the parking. or have more infrastructure for that. And then the other thing that just broke today or yesterday, shout out to I think it was Disney Drew who posted it, that Walt Disney World, they're bringing back some type of exhibition, kind of like what we have with the Blue Sky Cellar, about future projects. And we've been screaming for the last couple of years to have that back, because we lost the Blue Sky cellar to a DVC lounge. So it's like, why can't we get that here? And they can show all the plans, the models for Disneyland Forward. That gets us excited. That is something where it shows, hey, I don't have to sit there and get a bank loan to sit there and go to D23 to see these scale models. I could just go into Disneyland, walk into this large room, and see future projects coming to life.
Yeah,
You
no,
know what I
well
mean?
said.
I love those little models too. Like
Oh, me too.
I'll go to the one like where was it Lincoln in that little area? Oh my god, it's so
Yes.
cool. Or even go in the hotel, like the Disneyland hotel.
Yeah.
But I don't want to walk 45 minutes to the damn hotel to see a little miniature.
Yeah.
No, I don't blame you. And to be honest with you, Camper, they can actually do that in Tomorrowland, believe it or not. There is so much vacant space in that
Yeah.
land to hold an expedition like that, where you can go in and see what's going to become of Disneyland Forward. And like I said, Tomorrowland's the perfect spot for that, because they still, to this very minute, cannot figure out what the hell they're going to do with that land. So why not utilize it for something that has purpose?
Yeah. No, well said.
Why
well
not get Honey, I Shrunk the Audience back?
Hey, dude, that that cue had the best cue music. Dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Remember that too.
That's all
Banger,
funny.
bro. Banger.
Yeah, screw EO, right?
So good, so good. But gentlemen, and to my 1 hour and 41 crew, everyone sticking with us. Fantastic show today. Had a great time with you, Mr. Webba, Mr. Candid Camper, and Mr. Theme Park Conductor. Before we get out of here, we got Ebba with his big Donald mug. CTM Apparel, friend of the channel, Jared from Capture the Magic. We do a bi-weekly show with him, actually, on all of our channels. My channel, OG55, George's channel, and Capture the Magic. It's a bi-weekly show called Theme Parkin'. We're gonna go live actually next week, sometime next week. So stay tuned for that. But he has a great merch store if you're looking to get Epic Universe stuff or just nerdy stuff in general. A lot of Disney park stuff as well. If you use promo code OG55, you get 10% off your purchase. So make sure you do that. We also have the lovely and the one and only Miss Mimi Fan. She's a friend of the channel, very supportive of the channel, so we do appreciate Mimi very, very much. If you're looking for any great food in the OC or LA area, because believe me, the parks, the food ain't that great. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you're gonna want some good Korean barbecue, and you know what? Mimi is your girl. She can hook you up to all the great places to go for Korean barbecue, Vietnamese food, boba places, or whatever it is. Information in the description down below. Mimi Fan, and we saw a theme park conductor liked it, so there we go. We're all set. We are all set. Mr. Conductor, I will start with you, sir. Where can everybody find you on social media, my friend?
Absolutely. And I want to thank Orange Go 55 for being an amazing host, like always, hanging out with these lovely gentlemen. It's always great to talk theme parks. I want to thank you all for inviting me on. But like Orange Grove 55 said, I'm Theme Park Conductor. You can find me on YouTube and Blue Sky at Theme Park Conductor. You can find me on TikTok at Theme Park Conductor 1. You can find me on Instagram at theme_park_conductor. You can also find me on X at Theme Conductor. And you can find me every Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for Conductor Sunday live stream, where we have amazing guests like the one and only Orange Go 55 and Mr. Webba when he's not saving the neighborhood with his Spider-Man antics. Love having these gentlemen on. Even my new friend Candid Camper that I met at George's birthday. So we have these amazing gentlemen on where we talk everything from Universal to Disney to the Halloween season to rumors and speculation like we did tonight, and the up and coming Christmas season where, again, I have to watch out for Orange Go 55 with peppermint schnapps. I don't know, it's dangerous, but it's always a great time. So come join us.
Absolutely. Mr. Webba, where can everybody find you on social media, my friend?
Absolutely. It was such a fun time, everybody. OG, thank you so much for having me on this episode with Candid Camper and Theme Park Conductor. It was a blast. You can find me on social media on TikTok, Twitter, Threads, Instagram, and at Mr. Webba 91. And you can also find me right here on Orange Grove 55.
There he is. And last but certainly not least, we got Candid Camper. It's always good to have you on, brother. 2 shows in a row. It was really fun, bro. Really fun. Where can everybody find you on social media so they can support your work?
Once again, thank you, and love having you guys on. And this is what I live for, and I love it. So anytime you guys need me to be around, just hit me up. I will be here. People out there in the world, you'll probably see a lot more of me again now that my setup is better than it was before, I guess, because I didn't have a setup, because things happened. Anyways, you can find me at the Candid Camper Theme Park Thoughts over on Instagram, over on TikTok, and then right here on YouTube. And then also you can find me the Candid Camper on all of those also.
There we are. And our buddy Tones is feeling under the weather right now. So I just want to shout to Tones Poppy. We love Tones Poppy. Get well soon, Tones Poppy, and we'll get Tones back on the show very soon. So I just want to send out some love to Mr. Tones Poppy. But thank you all so much for watching this episode of OG 55. Until the next time, see you later with that big ass Donald mug.
Thank you so much for watching OG 55. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and become a member today.